There has been at least one drought in Sahel Africa every century for 17 centuries now. Millions of lives are at risk and have been for quite a while. The first drought in recent history hit in 1914 but became more sustainable in 1960. But once again, lives are at a high risk. People living in parts of Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, Algeria, Niger, Chad, Sudan, and Eritrea have seen some very hard times. The majority of the population in the affected areas are facing a huge problem because of this drought, which is a food crisis. A number of factors have contributed to the current crisis. The bizarrely low amount of rainfall in the area led to poor harvest in 2011 and 2012. Over 1 million children under the age of 5 are at a risk of acute malnutrition, so it is clear that this is a very big problem. These horrible conditions are not expected to shape up anytime soon. The drought is creating more difficulties since the majority of the population in the affected areas depend on crops and animals to make a living, but producing these is extremely difficult and practically impossible with this drought. The drought is proving just how dangerous a drought can be, especially to those with the least ability to adapt to climate change conditions. Although the drought was the thing to spark this crisis, it is not the only contributor. The poor infrastructure also plays a big role in the crisis, since it is a political problem that constraint to food imports and food distribution. This catastrophe seems to be endless, but the government is trying to help. Now, just time can tell what will happen with Sahel's population. Droughts are formed when a long period of time passes in an area without any precipitation. It can take a drought a year or more to develop and several years to recover. Changes in climate, changes in ocean temperatures, and landscape changes can also contribute to the formation of a drought. Droughts are common around the world. So what would happen if one strikes Canada? Some factors that would affect us are our agriculture, forestry, industries, municipalities, recreation, human health, society, and ecosystems. Canada has experienced droughts before, so we are familiar with what should be done and how. The difference of a drought here in Canada and one in Sahel is that the impact on Canadians will not be as harsh as a result of the current technology we have easy access to. Also, the duration of a drought in Sahel will be much longer than one in here. The destruction caused by a drought would seem similar though, since areas would lose water. However, Canadians would not face a horrible food crisis like Sahel currently is. Neither would there be as many deaths in Canada compared to Sahel. This is because Canada has a stronger economy than Sahel, which will probably do much more to help in a crisis like this. Canada hasn't always been able to deal with droughts, though. In 1929, the prairies of Canada faced a very harsh drought, which contributed to the Great Depression. Since then, Canada has developed immensely, so a drought probably won't affect us as much anymore. It can be difficult to prepare for a drought, since it can be more difficult to prepare for a drought than other natural disasters, since there is not much destruction to infrastructure. Most of the destruction is towards the environment. Also, it is harder to detect a drought than other natural disasters, since it is just the climate you'll be dealing with. One of the most important things a country that frequently experiences droughts can do to prepare for a drought is to conserve as much water as possible. A drought is when a long period of time passes with little to no rainfall, meaning that the climate is so hot that there is nearly no water at all. Lakes and rivers will be evaporated, so main sources of water will not be available. This makes it critical to find ways to preserve water, and this can be done by little actions every day that create a big effect when everyone does them. A drought has short-term and long-term effects on the area that was hit. Plants are probably most affected and usually take a long time to grow back since the plant's capacity to absorb water is damaged. A drought can also result in many plant diseases and insect problems. During the drought, the population can face many health problems, but once the drought has recovered, most problems can be cured. The aftermath of a drought can include many social and economical issues for the area. Recovering from a drought can take a very long time, though. It can take years, actually. Overall, a drought is an extremely dangerous natural disaster, even though it may not seem as if it is, and it can take many lives.